My friends, every one of us in this room and every soul listening to my voice carries a story not written in gold, but often in tears, sweat, and struggles. Yet history reminds us of a truth too powerful to ignore. Some of the world's greatest victories were born out of the world's deepest valleys. Think for a moment about the farmer who plants a seed. That seed must first be buried in darkness before it ever reaches the light. Without the weight of the soil pressing against it, the seed would never become a tree. Your struggles are not there to bury you, they are there to grow you. I remember meeting a woman who worked 3 jobs just to provide for her children. She told me, "I am tired, but I am not broken." Today, that same woman owns a thriving business that employs the very community that once doubted her. She turned her pain into purpose, her struggles into success. Struggles are not enemies, they are invitations. Invitations to discover strength you never knew you had. They are classrooms where perseverance is the teacher and resilience is the diploma. Ordinary people like you and me, become extraordinary not because life was easy, but because they refused to give up when it was hard. So I ask you today, what if your greatest challenge is not a punishment but preparation? What if every mountain you face is simply shaping the muscle you will need to climb higher tomorrow? We cannot always control the winds of life, but we can adjust our sails. We cannot always decide what struggles come our way, but we can decide what those struggles will make of us. And when we choose to see our difficulties as opportunities, we rise above them, not just for ourselves, but for those who come after us. This is not just about personal survival, it is about responsibility. Responsibility to our families, to our communities, and to the generations yet unborn. When you rise, others rise with you. When you refuse to quit, you give someone else permission to keep going. My friend, success is not the absence of struggle. Success is the decision to keep moving forward in spite of it. And if you hold on, if you press through the storms, if you stand firm in faith, if you choose hope over despair, you will discover that the very struggle you thought would break you will become the foundation that builds you. So I leave you with this truth. Struggles are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of your testimony. Do not despise the pressure, for diamonds are made under pressure. Do not fear the fire, for gold is purified in fire. And do not run from the storm, for it is in the storm that eagles learn to soar. Rise up, believe again, persevere again, and turn your struggles into success, because the world is waiting not for the easy version of you, but for the stronger, wiser, unstoppable version of you that only your struggles can produce. Thank you. My friends, I want to speak to you today about something every single person in this room has faced, is facing, or will face. Struggles. You see, struggle is the one thing that unites us all. It does not matter if you are young or old, rich or poor, educated or uneducated. Struggle does not discriminate. It visits the palace as surely as it visits the hut. But here is the truth that too many people forget. Struggles are not designed to stop you. They are designed to shape you. Think about the seed. A farmer places it into the ground. To the outside eye, it looks like the seed has been buried, forgotten, and left in darkness. But in that soil, under that pressure, something is happening. The seed is breaking open. The seed is growing roots. The seed is preparing to push upward toward the light. If the seed could speak, it would say, "I am under pressure. I am surrounded by darkness, but I am not finished. I am becoming." That is the story of struggle. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And what is planted must one day rise. I remember speaking with a woman who worked 3 jobs just to care for her children. Every morning she woke before the sun. Every night she returned home long after it set, and in between she endured long hours of labor, disrespect, and exhaustion. When I asked her how she managed, she looked at me and said, "I am tired, but I am not broken." That woman is now the owner of a thriving business that employs the very same community that once looked down on her. She turned her struggle into strength, her pain into purpose, her hardship into hope. That is the power inside of you too. Struggles are not enemies, they are invitations. Invitations to discover how strong you really are. Invitations to stretch yourself beyond what you thought possible. Struggles are classrooms where perseverance is the teacher and resilience is the final exam. And the diploma you earn is called wisdom. Some of you may be asking, why me? Why this storm? Why this difficulty? But I ask you a different question. What if your greatest challenge is not a punishment, but preparation? What if the very mountain you are climbing is the training ground for the summit you are destined to reach? What if every tear you shed is watering the ground where your greatest victory will grow? My friends, you cannot control every wind that blows in your life, but you can decide how you set your sail. You cannot decide whether the storm comes, but you can decide whether it drowns you or drives you forward. You cannot always choose the struggles that arrive at your door, but you can choose whether those struggles will leave you bitter or make you better. And let me tell you something important. Struggles are not just about you. The battles you fight today are victories your children will inherit tomorrow. When you refuse to quit, you give someone else permission to keep going. When you rise, you lift others with you. When you persevere, you build bridges that others can walk across. Success is not personal, it is generational. Think of history. The heroes we celebrate are not people who lived easy lives. They were people who endured hardship, rejection, and failure. They were laughed at, doubted, and dismissed. But instead of quitting, they pressed forward. The world remembers them not because they avoided struggles, but because they turned their struggles into stepping stones. You see, success is not the absence of struggle. Success is the decision to move forward in spite of struggle. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. Eagles learn to soar in the storm. Everything that shines, everything that soars, everything that lasts, it was forged in the fire of struggle. So when life presses down on you, do not despise it. When trials surround you, do not curse them. When obstacles block your path, do not retreat. Instead, remind yourself, I am not being buried, I am being planted. I am not being broken, I am being built. I am not at the end of my story. I am at the beginning of my testimony. The world does not need a perfect you, it needs a persevering you, a you that refuses to quit, a you that sees struggle not as a wall, but as a doorway, a you that believes storms can be survived, challenges can be overcome, and mountains can be moved. My friends, do not fear your struggles. Do not run from them. Do not let them define you. Let them refine you. Let them build you into the person you were always meant to be. For it is in your struggle that you will find your strength, and it is in your strength that you will find your success. My friends, nothing in life changes until something changes in your mind. You may change your clothes, you may change your job, you may even change your surroundings, but if your mind remains the same, your life will remain the same. Belief is the seed of every transformation. It is belief that turns the invisible into the visible, the impossible into the possible, and the ordinary into the extraordinary. Belief is not just an emotion, it is energy. It is the fuel that drives men and women to rise above the limitations of their circumstances. It is the spark that takes a servant and makes him a king, the same force that transforms a dreamer into an inventor and a nobody into a leader. When belief enters the heart of a person, they stop seeing life as it is and begin to see it as it could be. I once heard the story of a young boy in a poor village. He had no shoes, no electricity, and no guarantee of a meal at night. Yet every morning, he walked miles to school barefoot, carrying nothing but a notebook and a dream. Others laughed at him, mocked him, and told him his efforts were pointless. But he believed that education would set him free. He believed that knowledge could open doors no key could unlock. And he was right. That boy became a leader not just of his community, but of his nation. What changed? His circumstances? No, those came later. What changed first was his belief. Belief is the foundation upon which all achievement is built. Without it, talent is wasted, opportunity is missed, and potential remains buried. There are men with extraordinary gifts who accomplish little because they do not believe in themselves. And there are those with few resources, little education, and almost no advantages who rise to greatness because they refuse to stop believing. Your belief shapes your reality. If you believe you cannot, you have already written your defeat. But if you believe you can, you have already taken the first step toward victory. Belief is not magic, but it is the force that makes the impossible begin to move. It does not remove the mountain, but it gives you the strength to climb it. It does not eliminate the storm, but it gives you the courage to walk through it. The greatest prisons in this world are not made of steel bars or iron gates. They are made of unbelief. When a person says, I am not smart enough, I am not good enough, I am not strong enough, they chain themselves to the floor of mediocrity. But when a person dares to say, I can, I will, I must, they break every chain and step into the fullness of their destiny. I want you to imagine an eagle. From the moment it hatches, it is destined to fly. But if that eagle grows up in a cage, it may never spread its wings. Not because it cannot fly, but because it believes it cannot fly. In the same way, many of you have been caged not by your abilities, but by your beliefs. And I am here to tell you today, it is time to break the cage. It is time to believe again. History is filled with men and women who had every reason to give up, but they believed. Think of the inventors who were told their ideas were foolish, only to change the world. Think of the leaders who were told their voices didn't matter, only to transform nations. Their stories remind us that the world does not bow to doubt, it bows to belief. And let us not forget, belief is contagious. When you believe in yourself, you inspire others to believe in themselves too. A teacher's belief can awaken the potential of a child. A leader's belief can ignite courage in a community. A parent's belief can shape the destiny of a generation. Belief is not private. It spreads like fire, burning through doubt and igniting hope wherever it goes. Some of you listening right now are standing on the edge of greatness, but you are paralyzed not by failure, but by unbelief. You think the dream is too big, the mountain too high, the journey too long. But I tell you this, the dream was given to you because you have the power to fulfill it. The mountain is in your path because you have the strength to climb it. The journey is before you because you were born to walk it. So let me remind you, what you believe about yourself will set the course of your life. If you believe you were created for more, you will reach for more. If you believe your future is greater than your past, you will stop living behind you and start living ahead of you. If you believe that your life has meaning, then no struggle, no setback, no failure will ever convince you to quit. Belief is the power that lifts you when you are weak, the vision that guides you when the path is dark, and the courage that holds you when fear surrounds you. My friends, every one of us carries pain. Some carry the pain of loss, some the pain of rejection, some the pain of broken dreams, and others the pain of silent battles no one else can see. Pain has a way of reminding us that we are human, but it also has a way of making us question whether life has meaning. And yet I want to tell you today, your pain is not the end of your story. Your pain is not greater than your purpose. In fact, your purpose is often discovered inside your pain. Every scar has a story, and every story has the potential to unlock destiny. Sometimes the very thing that wounds you the deepest is the very thing that prepares you to heal others. Sometimes the very thing that breaks you is the thing that teaches you how to build. Your pain is not a punishment. It is preparation. I remember a man who lost everything in a fire. His business was gone, his home destroyed, his family forced to start over with nothing. For a time he thought his life was over. He sat in the ashes of what he had built, convinced that there was nothing left for him. But slowly something began to change. Out of his pain he found a new vision. He realized he had been living for success, but not for significance. That fire, which he thought had destroyed him, actually awakened his purpose. He built again, not just for himself, but for others. Today, that man employs hundreds, supports families, and impacts communities. His purpose was greater than his pain. You see, pain has a strange way of opening your eyes. It strips away the unnecessary. It forces you to confront what truly matters. Pain will either paralyze you or it will propel you. It will either silence you or it will shape your voice. The difference lies in how you see it. If you see pain as the end, it will bury you. But if you see pain as a teacher, it will raise you. Purpose always demands a price. You cannot discover who you are without being tested. You cannot walk in destiny without first walking through difficulty. Look at every great story you admire. Leaders, inventors, reformers, heroes. None of them lived without pain. What made them remarkable was not that they avoided suffering, but that they used it. They took the wounds of life and turned them into wisdom. They took the losses of life and turned them into lessons. They took the tears of life and turned them into testimonies. Your pain is often the clue to your assignment. The things that hurt you most are often connected to the things you are meant to heal. The injustice you suffered can ignite the justice you bring to others. The rejection you endured can fuel the acceptance you give to others. The struggle you survived can become the strength you impart to others. Pain awakens purpose. Think of the pearl in the ocean. It begins as an irritation inside the shell of an oyster. The oyster is wounded by a grain of sand, and instead of rejecting it, the oyster covers it, nurtures it, and transforms it. Out of that irritation, out of that wound, comes a pearl of great value. Without the pain, there would be no pearl. Without your pain, you may never uncover your true purpose. I want you to understand something. Pain is temporary, but purpose is eternal. The storm will pass, but the lessons it teaches you will last forever. The night may feel long, but the morning always comes. And when it does, you will look back and realize that what tried to destroy you was the very thing that developed you. Some of you listening right now are in pain so deep that you wonder if you will ever smile again. You wonder if joy will ever return. You wonder if life is worth it. And I want to tell you, yes, it is worth it, because what you are carrying is bigger than your suffering. What you are destined for is greater than what you are going through. Do not measure your future by your present pain. Your purpose is waiting on the other side of it. Every time you choose to stand up after falling, you are stepping closer to your purpose. Every time you choose to forgive when bitterness seems easier, you are stepping closer to your purpose. Every time you choose to keep moving when life says stop, you are proving that your destiny cannot be defeated by pain. Pain is real, but so is healing. Pain is strong, but so is resilience. Pain may bend you, but it cannot break what is destined. Your story is not over. Your purpose is calling, and your purpose is greater than your pain. My friends, talent alone will not carry you to your destiny. Dreams alone will not build your future. Even resources and connections, as powerful as they may seem, are not enough. The difference between those who quit and those who finish, between those who almost made it and those who changed the world, is one word: perseverance. Perseverance is the bridge that carries you from where you are today to where you are destined to be tomorrow. Without it, every dream collapses halfway, every vision fades in the middle, and every goal dies unfinished. But with it, even the weakest can endure, even the poor can rise, and even the overlooked can become unstoppable. I have seen men with extraordinary talent who did nothing with their lives because they lacked perseverance. They started with fire, but the fire faded when the winds of adversity blew. And I have seen others who had little education, few resources, and almost no support, but they refused to quit. They held on when everything told them to let go. And those same people who seemed ordinary at first ended up building legacies that outlived them. The difference was not brilliance. The difference was not opportunity. The difference was perseverance. Perseverance is the art of standing when everything else tells you to sit. It is the courage to keep going when every voice whispers, "It is over." It is the decision to wake up one more time, try one more time, and believe one more time. Perseverance is not glamorous. It does not always look powerful. Sometimes it looks like tears in the middle of the night. Sometimes it looks like getting up when you would rather stay down. Sometimes it looks like holding on to hope with trembling hands. But make no mistake, it is perseverance that changes history. I once heard the story of an athlete who had every reason to quit. He faced injury after injury, defeat after defeat. Reporters laughed at him, critics mocked him, and even his own friends told him to give up. But he said, "If I quit now, I will carry this defeat for the rest of my life. But if I persevere, I may fail again. But at least I will know I never gave up." Years later, he became a champion, not because he was the fastest or the strongest, but because he was the one who refused to stop running. Life will test you. It will push against your will, stretch your patience, and break your heart. But perseverance is the force that refuses to let pain write the final chapter. It is what takes your wounds and turns them into wisdom. It is what takes your struggles and turns them into strength. Without perseverance, the seed of greatness inside you will never bloom. But with it, even in the harshest soil, your life will bear fruit. Perseverance is not about speed, it is about endurance. Some people sprint at the beginning but cannot finish the race. Others move slowly, but they keep moving, and in the end, they reach the finish line. You see, the race of life does not belong to the fastest or the strongest. It belongs to those who endure to the end. And let me tell you something important. Perseverance is not just for you. When you keep going, you become a testimony for others. Your perseverance tells your children, "We do not quit in this family." Your perseverance tells your community, "It can be done." Your perseverance lights a fire in someone else who thought they were finished. That is why perseverance is powerful. It multiplies beyond you. The greatest breakthroughs often come right after the hardest struggles. Many gave up when the victory was just around the corner. They walk away not realizing that tomorrow was the day everything would have changed. Perseverance keeps you in the fight long enough to see the promise fulfilled. When storms come, and they will, perseverance is your anchor. When delays come, and they will, perseverance is your patience. When rejection comes, and it will, perseverance is your confidence that no can stop your yes. Perseverance is the bridge you must cross if you want to see yourself tomorrow. My friends, you may not have all the answers, you may not have all the resources, and you may not have all the support. But if you have perseverance, you have enough. Because perseverance will teach you how to find the answers, how to make the resources stretch, and how to build a path when there is none. Perseverance turns the impossible into the inevitable. So do not despise the slow days. Do not be discouraged by the hard nights. Do not measure your journey by how quickly it happens. Measure it by the fact that you are still moving, still pressing, still refusing to give up. That is perseverance. That is the bridge that will carry you to your tomorrow. My friends, no man succeeds alone. No woman rises in isolation. No destiny is fulfilled without the strength of others. The truth is simple but powerful. Unity is the multiplier of greatness. One person may shine for a moment, but it takes unity for a light to become a fire that cannot be ignored. I remember visiting a community where each family lived in houses barely standing, roofs leaking, walls crumbling, doors broken. Poverty was everywhere. But then something remarkable happened. They made a decision, one that changed everything. Each family agreed to dedicate one day every week, not to their own home, but to building homes for their neighbors. They worked side by side, brick by brick, sweat on their brows and determination in their hearts. And in less than 2 years, no one in that village was homeless. They built what money alone could not build. They built it with unity. That is the power of coming together. Alone they had little, together they had more than enough. Alone they struggled. Together they flourished. The same is true for all of us. The problems we face may seem too large for one person, but they are never too large for a people united. Unity does not mean sameness. It does not mean we all think alike, look alike, or even agree on everything. Unity is not the absence of difference. It is the decision to value something greater than difference. It is the choice to say, we may not be the same, but we are on the same side. We may not always agree, but we will not allow our disagreements to divide us. The danger we face today is not that we are weak. The danger is that we are divided. Division weakens the strong, confuses the wise, and silences the gifted. The division builds walls where there should be bridges. Division keeps us small when we are meant to stand tall. But unity multiplies strength, amplifies voices, and carries us further than we could ever go alone. Think of a single stick. It can be broken with little effort. But take 10 sticks, tie them together, and they cannot be broken. The strength of one may be fragile, but the strength of many is unshakable. That is what unity does. It binds us, it strengthens us, it protects us. Every great movement in history was born out of unity. When people came together for justice, nations changed. When communities stood together for freedom, empires fell. When families stood united through hardship, generations were lifted. Unity has always been the force that turns whispers into roars, ideas into revolutions, and dreams into realities. And let us not forget, unity begins not with nations, not with governments, not with systems, but with us. Unity begins in the home. When families are united, children grow with confidence. Unity begins in communities. When neighbors stand together, no one is left behind. Unity begins with friendships, with relationships, with individuals making the choice to lift one another up instead of tearing each other down. The truth is, every one of us needs someone. We are not designed to walk this life alone. Your gifts may open doors, but it is relationships that keep them open. Your talent may take you to the stage, but it is the support of others that allows you to stay there. Your vision may give you direction, but it is unity that gives you the power to bring that vision to life. I think about the eagle. It soars high, powerful and majestic. But even the eagle has its nest, a place where others help protect, nurture, and strengthen. No matter how strong you are, you need a nest, you need people, you need unity. Some of you may say, but I've been hurt, I've been betrayed, I trusted others and they let me down, and I understand that pain. But unity is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Even when people fail, even when relationships falter, the vision of unity must remain, because the alternative is isolation. And isolation will rob you of destiny. Unity is not just survival, it is significance. When we come together, we do not just live, we create life. We do not just endure, we build. We do not just hope, we achieve. When you lift someone else, you rise higher too. When you share your strength, you multiply it. When you fight for your brother or your sister, you secure your own future. Look around the world today. There are walls of fear, walls of doubt, walls of pride. But walls do not make us strong. Bridges make us strong. Walls keep us apart. Bridges bring us together, and it is unity that builds bridges. My friends, the challenges before us may be great, but together they are never impossible. When we stand united, there is no burden too heavy, no mountain too high, no dream too distant. Alone we may survive, but together we can soar. My friends, as we have walked together through these truths, one message has risen above them all: you are not powerless. Struggles may surround you, but they are not the end of you. Belief may be challenged, but it is the key that unlocks your tomorrow. Pain may break your heart, but it is the very soil where purpose is planted. The road may be long, but perseverance is the bridge that will carry you to your destiny. And though the journey may feel lonely at times, unity reminds us that we are never meant to rise alone. We rise together. The world you dream of, the life you long for, the change you hope to see, it does not begin with governments, with systems, or with chance. It begins with you. It begins with the decision to believe when others doubt, to endure when others quit, to forgive when others hate, and to unite when others divide. The question is not whether challenges will come, they will. The question is whether you will stand when they do. The question is whether you will turn your struggle into success, your belief into breakthrough, your pain into purpose, your perseverance into victory, and your unity into a legacy. So I leave you with this charge. Rise above the limits placed on you. Rise above the fear that whispers you cannot. Rise above the doubt that tells you to stop. The world is waiting, history is watching, and generations yet unborn are depending on what you do today. Rise, believe, persevere, unite, because tomorrow belongs to those who refuse to give up today.